BFF is dating my abusive ex I fought so hard to escape from. Now she wants to bring him back to my life claiming he found God and changed. My best friend is dating my abuser and wants me to reconcile with him, so I kicked her out of my home. Original post. I'm trying to write this out for days now, but I keep getting too upset to concentrate, so this might be a bit disjointed. I don't have family in the sense many understand family to be. I've been pretty much a loner with one exception, a best friend, Tammy. We met in middle school and became inseparable. Things changed a bit in college. My parents forced me into a Christian out-of-state college. Tammy applied to and was accepted by a different college in the same town, so we both moved out there. We were roommates for 2 years until I met my boyfriend, Trent. I moved in with him at the end of junior year, and I don't know when it started happening. But he went from charming and affectionate to controlling. I don't want to upset anyone, so I'll warn you that what I described below includes abusive behavior. At first, Trent would put me down, hinting he could find someone better or saying that if he cheated, it would be my fault because I wasn't enough. It became physical during my senior year. He would push me out of the way if I was in his path. Then it escalated to slapping me during arguments while calling me worthless, a waste of time, or a broken toy no one would love. I didn't have much self-esteem, so I stayed thinking I was the problem. When I called home for support, I was told I was the issue. I started planning my exit the day after graduation. He had proposed, and when I hesitated, he screamed at me, punched the wall next to my head, and later forced me into sex. The next morning, I woke up with a ring on my finger, and he forced me again, calling it makeup sex and saying he forgave me for how I had treated him. That's the short version. There were many more instances of abuse, physical, emotional, and sexual. I eventually found shelter in a nearby city, started hiding things in my car, and took as many work shifts as possible to save money. I finally left him, leaving my phone behind and never looked back. Tammy knew Trenton lived nearby, but she didn't know about my plan. When she messaged me on social media, I told her everything. She played dumb when Trent came around asking about me and spun a story that I was suicidal and he should call the police. He never found me. That was years ago. I'm now 36, Tammy is 2, and Trent is 38. Tammy became more religious over the years. I told her as long as she was happy and safe, I didn't care what she believed. However, she started inviting me to her church 4 years ago. After repeatedly declining, I finally told her that if she brought it up again, I'd leave or hang up. I'm agnostic and prefer to explore faith on my own terms, if at all. 2 years ago, Tammy got a job overseas. I was happy for her but devastated. Without her, I had no one. My family was barely in the picture, and I had no deep friendships beyond her. My counselor helped me work through it, and I carried on. We stayed in touch through video chats, sharing our explorations of new cities, hers in London and mine in Texas. But then her communication slowed, especially after she visited our old college town. Earlier this month, she came to Texas to visit me. I was thrilled but noticed something was off. The first day, she seemed tired, but the next day after drinking, she broke down crying. I asked her what was wrong, and that's when she dropped the bomb. She's been dating Trent for almost a year. I was too stunned to respond as she went on about how he's changed, found Jesus, and regrets how he treated me. I sat frozen, and when she asked me to say something, I told her to get the F out. She tried to explain further saying she hated him for years but reconnected by chance, and he showed he's a different person. I didn't interrupt. When she stopped talking, I repeated myself, "Get the F out." She argued, but I stayed firm until she packed her things and left. A week later, my dad texted me saying Tammy had called my parents crying. He told me to get over myself because he's not like I wanted Trent back and that's what I get for living with a man I wasn't married to. Tammy also texted rehashing her arguments and demanding I video chat with Trent to see for myself that has changed. She accused me of holding back their relationship and called me malicious for kicking her out. She even hinted that my version of thanks was exaggerated. That was the last straw. I blocked her, but I don't have other close friends to turn to about this. My family at hers think I'm the a-hole for kicking her out in a strange city, but I feel betrayed. Who dates their friend's ex, let alone someone who abused them? Am I wrong? Now for the top comments before reading the update 2 months later. Your so-called best friend is playing you for a fool, and you've got to call it what it is, a hot mess wrapped in betrayal. Dating your abuser? That's not just crossing a line, it's leaping over it without a second thought. Kicking her out wasn't just right, it was necessary. You don't need that kind of disrespect or trauma reopening nonsense in your life. And her trying to preach about forgiveness? That's not about helping you heal. It's about her trying to ease her own guilt. Listen here. Don't you dare feel bad for putting yourself first. You're not a rehabilitation center for poorly raised people pretending to be friends. Cut her off. Cut that noise off and don't look back. You're not the crazy one here. she and anyone siding with her are. Keep your head high and your door shut to toxic messes like that. Cut her off and cut your damn family off, Hopi. They're siding with your abuser instead of their own daughter. They're not family to you. You're worse off with them in your life. You'll make new friends. These people are toxic and will keep hurting you. Rip off the band-aid. Get rid of all of them. Who here can see that the abuser went after the ex-friends to stay close to OP? It's so freaking obvious. I would start taking advantage of Texas' very enthusiastic laws in self-defense and firearm ownership. Oh, I have one and had a stint in the Air Force after college. So it's documented, registered, and prepped just in case. I was a victim to physical abuse once. Never again. One day when she finally realizes that you are right in the first place, she'll need someone to help put the pieces back with her. Be that person, but don't be the sucker she wants you to be. I plan to leave the door open in case she needs help getting away. She still has me in social media. Leaving him was so hard to pull off without anyone knowing other than the people at the shelter and my boss at a restaurant. I know how hard and overwhelming it is. I could never leave her to do it on her own. Now for the update 2 months later. Sorry to everyone who reached out, and I haven't responded. I honestly haven't been using the app as I had to change phones quickly at one point and forgot the password when trying to log in on my new device. It took Trent 2 weeks. I have a full-time job, but also a part-time service industry job as a bartender. He showed up at the bar. It's a small bar, and one of the regulars, Daisy, female 30s, is someone I confided in about Trent and Tammy. When Trent walked in, I happened to be chatting with Daisy, and she saw my reaction. She asked what was wrong, and I told her it was Trent. She wasted no time and went to get my manager. Trent sat at the end of the bar. I took my time checking in on my other guests while ignoring him until my manager, Heather, female 50s, came out with the other 2 bartenders, both male 30s. Trent had already started knocking on the bar and loudly demanding service. He got kicked out quickly and was told that we can and will refuse service to him. I got texts from a new number saying it was Tammy begging me to answer. She called 4 times, but I didn't pick up. She left voicemails, some with Trent in the background, telling me that I was concerning them with my hatefulness, that I'm alone in the world, and that it's not safe, asking who I would turn to if someone broke into my home at night. Her messages were sprinkled with religious rhetoric. I was still on a clock, and Daisy suggested I stay at her parents' place. I know her mom who sometimes comes to the bar with Daisy. At that point, I was shaken enough to accept their offer. Daisy's mom, Rose, female 60s, kindly let me stay rent-free for as long as I needed, but I eventually moved in with one of the servers at the bar. She helped me find legal representation, and I filed for a restraining order using screenshots I had emailed myself earlier, old voicemails and texts. While we couldn't prove harassment in Tammy's end, text messages and voicemails were enough to qualify for a temporary restraining order. I'm safe for now, and the hearing is in January. No one knows where I currently live, and I've shut down all social media. I've got no contact with my family as they've been pressuring me to give them my address so they can send Christmas gifts. When I provided a P.O. box Daisy is letting me use, they got angry. That was suspicious enough for me not to trust them further. It's strange, but I am slowly making new friendships. Seeing a counselor has been helping me with his stress. Trent is essentially blacklisted from the local bar scene. Words travel fast. I haven't walked alone during a single shift since, and that's my update. Things aren't perfect, but I remembered my password while checking my email for more evidence to send to my lawyer. I wanted to let everyone concerned about me know that I'm okay. When this is resolved, I'll try to provide another update with more details. Who would I turn to if someone broke into my home at night? What? Did she want you to turn to her so she could start dating the intruder? That sounds like a threat in my book, aka we know where you live. I'm so sorry you're going through this, Hopi. Daisy seems like an amazing person, and her kindness really stands out. You've handled everything so well. You're incredibly strong. I'm glad you're seeing a counselor. Also, great idea with a P.O. box. If you're in the U.S., request to have your information removed from white pages. It's a good way to protect yourself further. For sure, Daisy is such a real one, and OP handled this like a boss. That's why Paige's tip is solid too. Smart move to stay careful. I hope you have cameras set up at your new home. Tammy is a monster. She is so naive and brainwashed by her religion that she is endangering your life. Trent is a violent abuser who is now stalking you. He got with her so he could have access to you. Your parents aren't safe and trustworthy, and I am glad you know it too. Christians like them are nothing but abusers. That's exactly it. Stupid Tammy thinks she's in love, but all she is to Trent is a means to get to Opie. I don't mind that they kept running into each other either. Trent sought Tammy back and started stalking her, hoping she would lead him to Opie. They don't need Opie's blessing to be together, so there's no reason to keep harassing her. Wanting forgiveness is just a flimsy excuse for Trent to keep stalking Opie. If he had really changed, he'd respect that Opie can't be around someone who repeatedly raped and abused her, and he'd leave her alone. Getting angry because your victim wants no contact is the opposite of being a changed person. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to babysit my deceased best friend's kids after her husband's betrayal? My best friend, Emma, passed away from cancer 2 years ago. We were like sisters. She was my maid of honor and I was hers. When she was diagnosed, I became her primary caregiver, helping her through chemo and spending every possible moment with her. Her husband, Mike, was a different story. During her treatment, I discovered he was having an affair with a co-worker. Emma knew but was too sick to deal with the drama. After she died, I confronted Mike, telling him he was a disgrace. He begged me to keep it from the kids, 9 and 6. Last week, Mike called asking me to babysit regularly. Apparently, her affair partner is now his live-in girlfriend. She's an AI art influencer with 50K followers who posts those dressed-up cats and babies you see everywhere, and they want free time. He had the audacity to say Emma would have wanted me to help for the kids. I told him absolutely not. The thought of babysitting while he lives with a woman who betrayed Emma makes me sick. Some say the kids are innocent and need support, while others think I'm justified. Mike is now telling everyone I've abandoned Emma's children. My own family is pressuring me, saying I'm being vindictive. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Off the a-hole, and since he's telling everyone you abandoned the kids, I tell everyone how he was banging someone else while his wife was dying of cancer. Right, it's not about the kids. It's about how OP is still repulsed by his betrayal of her best friend. He took advantage of her help during his wife's final illness to have an affair instead of being a good supportive husband and father during a crisis. It will take as long as it takes, if ever, for OP to feel comfortable with him and his affair partner. OP may eventually find a way to stay connected with the kids at her own convenience, but she may never feel comfortable babysitting for the couple of cheaters or being friendly with them. What the cheating husband actually requires is OP's no doubt free babysitting to suit his convenience now that he has more parental responsibility than he can offload onto the nearest woman. If our OP and tell every flying monkey exactly why she is repulsed by the cheaters and can't stomach supporting their relationship at this time, agree, but try to find ways to stay connected to Emma's kids. You're the best connection to their mom right now, not the a-hole. I always wonder why a woman would want to be with a man who treats his dying wife so poorly. I know this from experience. The affair partner always thinks they're different. The level of ego involved, the mindset that I was able to steal this person from their spouse, so I'm special? It's ridiculous. My therapist and I discussed this after my ex's affair. The saying, once a cheater, always a cheater, rings true because some people really do think that way and always will. Yep, my ex cheated on me while I was recovering from brain surgery. He told his affair partner's adult children that I knew and was okay with it. I wasn't. When I found out, I kicked him out despite still being in recovery. What made it worse was that the affair partner pretended to be my friend and even sent me an edible arrangement. I'm still salty about it all these years later. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take my girlfriend back after she cheated just to see if she still had it? I, 30 male, have been dating my girlfriend, Rachel, 27 female, for 2 years. She's always been confident and charismatic, which is one of the things I loved about her. Our relationship seemed solid, good communication, lots of shared interests, and we were even talking about moving in together. A few weeks ago, Rachel admitted to me that she cheated on me during a night out with her friends. She hooked up with some guy she met at a bar. I was completely blindsided. When I asked her why she did it, she said it wasn't about me or our relationship, but because she wanted to see if she still had it. I told her that was a terrible excuse and she started crying, saying it was a stupid mistake and that she regretted it immediately. She's begged me to forgive her, saying she learned her lesson and that it would never happen again. But I can't get over the fact that she was willing to risk our relationship for something so shallow. She didn't cheat because she was unhappy or because there was a problem between us. She cheated purely to stroke her ego. Now Rachel and some of our mutual friends are calling me unforgiving, saying that everyone makes mistakes and that I'm throwing away a great relationship over one bad choice. They say I should focus on her remorse and give her another chance. I feel like staying with her would mean betraying my own boundaries, but I'm starting to wonder if I'm being too harsh. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take her back? Not the a-hole. Congrats. You still have it, but you sure as heck don't have me. The mutual friends are just as trashy as her. You'd be crazy to take her back. That's what I thought, but I couldn't be sure of myself. She still had it because she had you. That should have been enough validation. All of this is in the past tense because I hope you use it when you break up with that cheater, not the a-hole. Now Rachel and some of our mutual friends are calling me unforgiving, saying that everyone makes mistakes and that I'm throwing away a great relationship over one bad choice. As a thought exercise, I'm trying to define a great relationship that includes one partner hooking up with random, let's presume, infectious partners on a whim. I'm having trouble recognizing the greatness here. I'm still trying to get my head around the she made a mistake. No, she didn't. It was 100% intentional, and she admitted as much. She made a mistake in telling her boyfriend instead of flying her butt off to him is what she means. Once a cheater,